Right then, we're back.
We're back.
Welcome to our video all about our experience on Azamara Quest. We're going to let you know everything that we loved about the ship. We're going to let you know some things that surprised us.
And we're going to let you know what was absolutely shockingly awful.
Right, so the first thing that we loved about Azamara was the itinerary. Now, we were looking for a long time to do, obviously, a trip to Australia. And as soon as we seen this itinerary, it was like, that's it. It was ticking all the boxes of where we wanted to go.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and we came home feeling, actually, we have done Australia. We haven't done it all because it's huge, but we've done a lot of it to know that actually we would love to go back at some point. So Azamara do amazing itineraries, and the reason for that, I think, as well, because they have small ships, so they're able to do something a little bit different than other cruise lines can offer. Now, the second thing that we loved about Azamara is their destination immersion, and what that means is that with Azamara, you get amazing evenings. I have trouble saying that all through the...
As amazing is
yes.
what she's trying to say. And what that basically means is destination immersion. They immerse you in the destinations. Per cruise, you have an as amazing night. On the first cruise, we were in Bali, so they did a Balinese night, which basically means everybody gets off the ship. You don't have to. Everybody's invited. They coach you to a venue. And on the Balinese one, we were treated to an evening of music and dance in, Balinese music and dance.
And a beautiful, beautiful venue and service. And you really felt like it was a red carpet event, didn't you?
It was.
You walked in and all the staff with the captain, well, it was amazing. In Adelaide, we had
It was as amazing.
It was as amazing. In Adelaide, we were taken to the Adelaide Oval, which is a huge sporting venue. Paul will be able to tell you a bit more about Adelaide.
They play cricket at Adelaide Oval, and they also play Aussie rules football.
Yeah,
at a lovely stadium.
Yeah, we
were in this sort of big convention centre where there was finger food laid on. There was an open bar, and then we were treated to hour and a half from an Australian guy called James Morrison, who is probably the most famous jazz musician in Australia.
Yeah. And we thought, we're not fans of jazz, but it was magical.
It was brilliant.
Honestly, Azamara do these events, and it was worth the cruise just to go to those things, wasn't it?
It was fantastic.
So that was absolutely fabulous. So the next thing we loved with Azamara was their food. The food standard on this ship was spectacular, wasn't it? We thoroughly enjoyed. We can't think of a meal that we had that we didn't enjoy.
No, it was fantastic. And this is they've only got one main dining room. They've got two specialty restaurants. They've got a buffet. They've got the patio, which is their version of the burger bar, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And then they've got two other little places. They've got the Mosaic Cafe, which does food throughout the day, breakfast, lunch, afternoon tea. And then the late venue, they do like a tapas in the afternoon, including afternoon tea, and they also do a late night tapas.
Yeah.
And buffet has a theme every night. Could not, like Carole said, could not think of a bad meal we had.
Yeah.
If you couldn't find something to eat on there, there's no hope, because it was
exactly.
It was excellent.
And the barbecue that they did for the White Nights, which we're going to go on to now, because White Night was a great concept. I'm sure other ships do it as well. I think MSC do it.
I think we've heard of other cruise lines doing it, but the concept of White Night, everybody wears something white.
Yeah.
Again, just like the Azamazing Night, it's not compulsory, but it's just nice seeing 99% of the people, even if you just got a white shirt, pop a white shirt on.
Yeah. So make sure you do pack something white if you're cruising with Azamara, because they're... And
what they do is they clear the pool deck from about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All the sunbeds are replaced by tables and chairs, all tableclothed up, and all looking lovely and swanky.
Yeah.
And then they have a massive barbecue. They have this big buffet laid on. They have this. The one side is just all desserts, and it was just mad.
Brilliant.
And then entertainment throughout the night on the stage from the resident band. The show team and the resident orchestra.
Yeah.
So just a great night to be had.
Yeah. So food and White Night, Azamara do absolutely superb.
Right, the next thing we loved was the staff. The staff throughout the ship, apart from one exception, which we'll come on to at the end, were absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing about small ship cruising, is because it is a small ship, you get to meet the same staff in different venues throughout the ship, and you feel within 3 or 4 days, you don't feel like a passenger, because you're on first name basis with everybody. They know your name. I'm not saying we drink too much, but they knew what drinks we wanted, and we could not, throughout, like I said, with one exception, one area that we're going to go into later, we could not fault it.
Yeah, from the dining staff, the bar staff, the visibility of the staff, particularly the officers around the ship. Captain was seen a lot, hotel manager, you know, the staff, and it's apparent in the majority of the teams that are on board that they're happy. They seem to be well looked after, and also talking to a lot of the staff, they have been working for Azamara for a long time, haven't they?
Yeah,
so they, you know, and they really like working for Azamara, and you could see that in the majority of the staff that were on board, couldn't you?
With one exception.
Now let's talk about a few things that surprised us. We always presumed, because of luxury cruising, that the more that you pay, the more posh it would be, and the more you'd have to wear a tuxedo, the more you'd have to get dressed up. That is not the case whatsoever. Azamara is just so casual, you do not even need to pack a tux.
No, it's seriously laid back. It's so laid back to the point that I didn't even realise you had to wear a pair of trousers in the dining room, because we didn't go there early in the cruise. We were going to the buffet because it was so good. But the only requirement is, for the main dining room and the specialty restaurants, is you have to have long trousers on.
Yeah.
You have to wear something on the top as well. You're not like a Donald Duck, but long trousers. But other than that, no dress code whatsoever. We saw people who had jackets on and ties on, but it was so thin on the ground. Well, to give you, I'm going on a tangent, but I'm just going to do it very briefly. We got to know a guest artist who was a magician, and we got chatting to him, and he said, "Oh, when I do my show," he said, "I do this trick with a tie, where he basically cuts the tie off, goes up to somebody with a tie on, cuts it off with the scissors, and by the end of the act, he's put it back together again." And he said to me, "Do people wear ties on here?" I said, "Well, no, they don't."
We hadn't seen many at all at that time.
And when he did the show, on that night, the only person that had a tie on was the cruise director.
Yeah.
So he said, "Well, it's a good job I didn't have that in my hat." Then he said, "Because I wouldn't have been able to do the trick." So
So packing for an Azamara cruise is very easy.
Very easy.
Just very casual. Pack something white and leave your tuxedo and your sparkly dresses at home.
Yes. Right, the next thing that surprised us was entertainment, and I'm going to tell you why now. We'd spoken to a few people who've done Azamara in the past, and we've read a few reviews, and everybody said, "Oh, don't go with high hopes for the entertainment, because, you know, it's sort of quite average and very low key and blah, 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 blah." And it just goes to show that everybody's different when it comes to entertainment, because we thoroughly enjoyed the entertainment.
We did.
It's not, you know, if you're going on there expecting like West End shows and, you know, 75 people on stage at the same time, you will be disappointed. But what you did get on Azamara, you had a 6-strong show team, 4 singers, 2 dancers, who were excellent and did 4 different shows during your cruise. You had some excellent guest entertainers coming on throughout the 2 cruises. The Azamara Quest Orchestra were excellent, really, really talented throughout. The resident band, the lady who sang in the resident band is probably one of the best singers I've ever heard on a cruise ship.
She was
absolutely
superb.
spectacular. She sung some Whitney Houston songs one night, and she out Whitney Houston. That's how good she was.
Music for soul.
And Scott the DJ always finished the night off in style, playing all the top tunes, and he was a massive laugh as well. So right throughout. So don't believe everything you hear and don't believe everything you read.
Well, it depends what you like. It's personal preference.
Yes.
What they did on Azamara Quest, we thoroughly enjoyed.
Yes.
The Azamara Quest is really small. It's only got 700 passengers max. It's 30,000 tonnes in total. And if you compare that like with Queen Elizabeth, that's 90,000 tonnes, and the big ships now, Wonder of the Seas, which is 230,000 tonnes, you can see that it's obviously, in the cruise industry, it's small. And we knew that there would be a little bit of movement, because you get that with smaller ships, but we didn't realise the extent of the movement, did we?
No, totally. I mean, small ship cruising, double-edged sword, as we found out, because the small ships allow you to get into the ports that the big ships can't reach. But unfortunately, as the ship's like 23 years old as well, it just didn't have the ability to handle even just the slightest of swells. The movement, we lost probably 2 or 3 days on the second cruise because the movement of the ship was that bad. So if you suffer from seasickness, I've only ever taken one seasickness tablet
we don't.
in all our 40
Can I
odd
just say
cruises.
here, just for if you're new watching our channel, we've cruised 40 times and we don't suffer with seasickness. I buy seasickness tablets, put them in the suitcase, and they normally expire before we get to use them. On this cruise, we were popping the pills.
We were taking 2 on the second leg of the cruise. We were taking 2 tablets a day because that's all we were allowed to take.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, the cruise would give you free of charge anyway. You could just go and pick them up. But we were taking 2 tablets a day, and we probably did that on the second cruise, which was 14 days. I would say that 50% of that cruise we were taking seasickness tablets.
Yeah, and I think the sad thing was we love sea days, and one of the reasons we booked this cruise because there was quite a few sea days in it where we could enjoy, because we love going to the quizzes, we love joining in with the activities. We couldn't. Well, we started to on the calm days, but as we got through the Australian waters, which we now know can be some of the roughest in the world, we weren't able to enjoy that, and I that made me mad actually, because I love sea days, and I was getting frustrated because not that we were violently sick or anything, but we just felt so odd, and the movement of the ship got to a point where you were walking, it got annoying.
Yeah, but I just
really
want to point
annoying.
out, when Carole said, when the water got a lot worse, but it still wasn't that bad. If we'd have been in a bigger ship, you wouldn't even know you're at sea. But it's the point, getting back to the point that we were trying to make, it didn't handle any sort of swell whatsoever.
Yeah, and the captain kept saying, doesn't the Azamara Quest, it's just like a swan, it handles it like a swan, and we're like, my God, he's got a swan with a broken leg and a wing.
Yeah,
and
it didn't handle
it was
well
just
at all.
and that really surprised us, because we thought, well, it didn't even really enter our heads that we would have issues with movement, but we did.
It's almost like this is in the section entitled What Surprised Us.
Exactly. Now let's get on to the things which were bad. There's no other word for it, is it, really? And that's sadly bad.
Sadly bad. Right, we'll start at the very beginning. When we landed in Singapore, we came out of the airport, there was the nice man standing there with the Azamara logo. So we go across, he checked, there's your name there. Right, it'll come over. So if you want to sit over there, and the transfer will be at 11 o'clock. And we both looked at our phone and thinking, well, I don't know whether, there's something wrong with our phones or whatever, but it's 5 to 8. I said, so we got to wait 3 hours. Well, yeah, there's some other people coming in, but they're not coming in until 10:45. So we had to wait 3 hours, despite the fact that this was a luxury cruise and we paid a king's ransom to go on it. Azamara were too tight to give us a private transfer.
Yeah.
We had to wait until there was a minibus full of people. So we had to sit there for 3 hours.
And it wasn't far away.
No. It was like half an hour away.
Yeah,
so
we should have just, in hindsight, we should have just paid for a taxi.
Yeah. So, off to a bad start.
And then embarkation.
Got to the port. We go into the area where you check in. There's all the desks there. There's people behind the desks. You're thinking, oh, this is looking promising. And then this guy comes up to us. Oh, yeah, just take a seat. Well, where? Well, anywhere you like. So we sit down. We go to sort of towards the desks and sat down. We were like 3 rows from the front. But there was already like 100 people sat down. So every sort of 20 minutes...
No system whatsoever.
But every 20 minutes, this guy would come over. Oh, thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience. What's going on then, mate? Oh, thanks for your patience. Nobody told you what was going on. And then after 2 hours, they started inviting people up. But with no system at all. So they started you say, well, there's no system. They started from the front. But when people were coming in to sit down, they didn't tell them to start at the front and work back.
It was
they just told them to sit anywhere. There was a couple that came in 5 seconds before they started inviting people up to the desk. They sat down in these 2 chairs that happened to be free in the front row, And
Yeah.
we're invited straight
Straight
up.
on.
They've been there
and all
for
the
about...
people behind, including us, have been sat there for hours.
We've been there for 2 hours, and when we got there,
There was
probably 100 people already there. So
yeah, and there was only 400 passengers
Yeah.
on our first cruise when we embarked. So it was.
But then that wasn't the end of it, because once they'd gone through our paperwork, which was painful, asking us all these strange questions, didn't ask for our COVID our COVID test
Yeah,
result,
which we paid £130 for.
which we were
they
told
insisted we had.
don't even bother to turn up unless you've got a COVID test done within the last 3 days. Didn't even ask to see that. And then we were ushered then through to another area. We're thinking, oh, that's it, we're on now then. No, we had to sit there for another half an hour.
It was painful, wasn't it?
It was
Very
painful, and one of the
worst embarkations. Top two.
top 2 worst embarkations ever.
Yeah, definitely. And apparently it was the same in Perth.
Yeah.
Because we did back to back. We talked to the passengers that got on in Perth. They said it was terrible too. So let us know, is this normal for Azamara?
No.
Let us know in the comments below if you had a good embarkation with them or not. Because we certainly didn't.
We'd love to know. So eventually we get on board, get to our cabin. First thing we need to do, obviously as we're bloggers, let's get our Wi-Fi sorted. Now, prior to the cruise, as part of the package, we made sure we had incorporated a Wi-Fi package for both of us.
Yeah.
So Carole goes on, there's a piece of paper, this is what you do to get on the Wi-Fi. And to be fair, it was very self-explanatory and it was easy. And Carole went on, bang, 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 right, I'm on. Happy days. Gives a piece of paper to me, blah, 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 blah. Do you want to switch devices? And it's like, well, no, I don't want to switch devices. I want to go onto the Wi-Fi. So we thought, well, that's strange. So anyway, I thought, well, we'll just pop down to guest relations and, they'll be able to sort it out.
Well, this was our first experience with guest relations. As soon as you walk down the stairs from deck 5 to deck 4, you're met with a bank of 3 people that just stare at you.
Sometimes 4.
Sometimes 4. No smiling, like go to guest relations always like, hi, how can I help? There is none of that with this team.
And this is, bearing in mind, this is the first
day.
contact they've had with us. We've been on the ship for like half an hour.
Yeah. So we said to this guy, look, we're having issues with the Wi-Fi. Straight away, without even asking us about what we'd booked, he said, you've only booked 1 package. It's like, you don't know who we are, what our cabin number is, and already he'd made this assumption that we hadn't booked a Wi-Fi pack. I said, actually, this is our cabin number. If you look at our paperwork, you'll see that we've booked 2. No, you haven't. And it's like, do I need to get my invoice out? And he just looked at me. So I got my invoice out and I just held it up. I said, you can see clearly we've purchased now 2 Wi-Fi packages. Begrudgingly then, he sat there behind the computer, tap, 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 yeah, okay.
Oh, no. And the thing is, he didn't say that we were right. He said, oh, it appears that you have purchased 2. Not that we have, it just appears. Like it was like the computer could be wrong because he knew more than the computer. So
that was off, and we thought, oh, that was not good.
No.
That was really poor communication skills from someone working guest relation on a luxury cruise ship. We've only ever had that once on our 40th cruise. That was with MSC, wasn't it? On MSC Opera. And to compare MSC Opera to Azamara Quest, I never ever thought
anybody who does
that
a lot
would
of
be the
cruising,
case. So anyway, we went away thinking, oh God, we don't have to go to guest services, because if that's the way that they treat people, and you could see the queues of people's faces, they were getting the same approach from all the staff.
It
was really
the immediate
it was
response.
bad.
The immediate response from everybody on the front desk, because we were hearing other people having the same queries as us, and the immediate responses was basically to call the passenger a liar.
Yeah.
Which is what they said to us. No, you haven't. Like, so we're lying then, are we? And that seemed to be the default setting. It's never like, how can I help? What can I do for you?
None of that.
Well, let's see if we can sort this out for you.
Yeah.
There was none of that whatsoever.
And just to make this worse, I'm going to jump forward. Let's jump forward to our next cruise, because our Wi-Fi finished after our first cruise. It went off. We thought, oh God, okay, we've got to go and do the same thing. I went on my phone, same. Paul went on his phone, same. We go down to a guest relation, we speak to the same guy, and he just looked at us and said, you've only bought 1 package. And me and Paul looked at each other.
Carole is the most placid person I know. It's always me that shows off. And Carole just saying, what, really? Are we going to have to do this again? And he said, oh, and then as he walked off, he said, like, the bloggers. Now, bearing in mind, we hadn't told anybody on the cruise that we were blogging.
No.
And when we go on a cruise, we're not on there for, oh, we want to be treated special. We go on there as a normal passenger because what we want to portray when we do our blogs is what normal passengers do.
Exactly that. And the only reason that some people knew we were bloggers is because the cruise director recognised us from our Saga videos, and also we had a few people following on Instagram who was the dancer's mum.
Yeah.
But anyway, we digress. So I was there like, really? Do we have to go through this again? Do I have to get my invoice out and show you again, even though we had this conversation, 11 days earlier? You know who we are. Anyway, he begrudgingly sorted it out again. Same attitude, which was absolutely appalling. Now, the next thing that really disappointed me in particular, Paul wasn't too worried about it.
No, let me stop you there. I was worried about it because happy wife, happy life.
Yes, true. I thought, oh my God, we're going to Australia. I love a glass of wine, particularly Sauvignon Blanc. And I thought, we're going to Australia, we're going to Margaret River, I'm going to be able to try all these amazing Australian wines. No. Now,
bear in mind, let's rewind where we said Azamara pride themselves on destination immersion.
Yeah. No Australian wines on board.
Where's that wine from then, mate? France, Spain,
Italy. Well, the first cruise, there was an Italian wine, which actually was a nice Sauvignon Blanc, so that was fine. The second week was a Spanish Sauvignon Blanc, which was like vinegar. But yeah, so that was really, really disappointing. Why, Azamara, are you advertising an Australian intensive voyage and not giving the wines that are from that region? We talked to a lot of passengers because it's a small ship. You get to talk to everyone, which we loved. We met some fantastic people, but there are a lot of Azamara repeat or loyal customers that actually said, you know what, standards have slipped. They've been taken over by Sycamore. They used to be part of Royal Caribbean, and a lot of people on this ship were 90% happy, but there was things that everyone said, you know what, this never used to be. And the one guy said to me, you used to be able to have a pick. They used to be really good. As a standard package that you get with Azamara, he said you used to have a really good choice, but that has seemed to be taken away, and that was really disappointing.
Sometimes you hear the saying, save the best till last. Well, we've saved the absolute awfulness for last, and it goes like this. On about the third day of the cruise, we were crossing the equator. And we had a freak storm where the wind speed went from 5 or 6 knots to 71 knots, which is a force 1 hurricane. Now, can't blame anybody for that, but we woke at 3 a.m. to find that there was a howling noise coming into our cabin and water.
Yeah.
So on closer inspection, once we'd turned the lights on, got our bearings, worked out what was going on.
Well, let's show them the sound.
So this is the noise and the amount of water that we were greeted with. There's water coming in here like that. We phoned down to reception, to guest relations, spoke to a man called Bruno, who, to be fair, was fantastic. He said, I'm going to send somebody up straight away from maintenance. Maintenance come up, they walked into the cabin, and the look on their face was a look of shock, because I don't think even they could believe how bad it was. So he was straight on the phone back down to Bruno. Bruno's like, right, we're going to move you. Because we couldn't, apart from the fact that there was water creeping towards the bed, we couldn't have slept because of how much noise it was like, well, as you've just seen and heard. Bruno's like, right, grab your stuff, anything you need, toothbrush, etc., we'll move you to another cabin, which is what happened, which was great. So in the morning, we go down to guest relations. And once again, as you walk down the stairs, you're greeted by the 4 happy smiling faces, which, obviously I'm being sarcastic. Spoke to one of the guest relations team, basically just gave us a load of waffle. And, well, when your cabin's dry, you can go back in there. And it's like, well, there's obviously something wrong with our cabin because it's not normal for water to be running in through a balcony door. Oh, well, yeah, well, they'll sort it out anyway. And just waffle, and she just kept waffling all the time.
Totally dismissed her, saying, you're not the only one in issues. There's been issues overnight. Just stay in that cabin and we'll dry it out. I said, so are you going to dry it out? Is that going to take 2 hours? Is it going to take 2 days? Is it going to take 5 days? We'll be moved from a cabin that we paid a lot of money for in the position that we wanted to right at the aft. And you know, when we were talking about the movement was worse at the aft, and we didn't want to be at the aft, because if we wanted to be at the aft, I would have paid for an aft cabin. Yeah. So that really miffed me, because anyway,
it just wasn't where we wanted to be. So
her attitude was just appalling,
just totally dismissive, like our previous visits. So, and then she says, well, I'm just a middleman. And it's like, well, please don't take this the wrong way. If you're just a middleman, I don't need to speak to the middleman. I need to speak to like whoever's in charge.
Well, someone that can tell us.
Who's not just going to waffle like a politician. Yeah. So she said, oh, well, she made a phone call. Oh, well, if you go and wait over there, and then the guest relations manager will come out. So we sat down. After a short while, the guest relations manager came out, and she just stood and stared at us. Didn't speak. Just stared at us like it was like some sort of like Mexican standoff of who's going to like draw their gun first.
So I spoke, and I just said, "Oh, are you aware of our issues?" No, and first thing she said, "No, just tell me again." And I'm like, "Right, okay." So we went up through all what we just told you, and her answer to that was, "What do you want me to do about it?" I know. Yeah, you're shocked. Can you imagine how we felt after we paid all this money to go on this wonderful cruise, and then this lady.
Yeah, so obviously Carole's getting upset about it now. We haven't actually touched on this, but I do feel that I need to incorporate this now. We paid £14,000 for this cruise, and that's without the flights, which is over £600 a night. And she's like, well, we'll just dry your cabin out. And I said, well, look, please don't take this the wrong way. But, like, surely, under the circumstances, it'd be nice if you could, like, maybe move it, maybe upgrade us to something, as the ship is only at 60% capacity.
Yeah. Well, just as a goodwill gesture.
Just as a goodwill gesture.
We just expected it to be handled so differently.
Yeah. And she said, well, there's no other cabins. So there's 400 people on the ship on a capacity of 720, I think.
710.
So there's no other cabins on the ship. So really, I said, well, I saw a promotion where if you pay $50 on you purchase something for $50, you'll get entered into a draw where you'll be if you win the draw, you get put into a suite.
Yeah, we're like,
I said, so we've paid all this money. Oh, well, I said, so we've paid £14,000 for this cruise. She said, no, you haven't. And I said, what, really? She said, I know exactly how much you paid for it. I said, well, do you want me to show? So we're back again to, do you want me to show you our invoice? No. So she basically called us liars on how much we paid for the cruise. And then I said, so you're happy to upgrade somebody to a suite if they spend $50. But we've had an absolute nightmare where we've got like, 4 inches of water running around our cabin, and your grand gesture is you're going to dry the cabin out. And she said, that offer for the upgrade to the suite for $50 has been withdrawn.
Yeah, we've withdrawn the raffle. It's not going to happen now.
It's not going to happen. So we go. So we go to the show that night, and before the show, the cruise director comes out and said, "Right, before we start, then let's do the raffle for the suite."
No, can you believe it?
So she called us a liar. Then she lied straight to our face, and then so she said, "We'll have a chat in a couple of days and see what we can sort out." So we're now in this aft cabin. We get our stuff moved, which, to be fair, our cabin
were brilliant. Steward, the rest of the staff, like we've said, this is no reflection on the rest of the staff on Azamara, because they were superb.
So we get all our stuff moved. Our cabin steward helps us out. Great, it's fantastic.
Yeah, lovely.
But we're now in this cabin that is horrible and vibrating, and it's virtually impossible to get any sleep. So, 2 days' time, she's going to come and have a chat to us. So
Nothing.
5 days later, we haven't heard a word. So I think
We were going back to guest relations saying, any news?
Any news?
What's
No,
happening?
nothing.
No. I'll just write it down again because
Yeah.
it seems to think that they write it on paper that then becomes invisible.
Yeah.
They
So-
write things down and never gets passed on. Sorry, but it's so frustrating that this team's so incompetent.
So we go down, we speak to a person on the front desk. Right, what's happening? Where are we moving for the next cruise? Because we put the same, obviously, cabin for the 2 cruises, which is the position we wanted. But we don't want to be moving into that cabin if that cabin's not been fixed. Because obviously there's something wrong with that door to allow that water in. So, I'll make a note of this and I'll make a note of that. And we asked her 3 or 4 questions and she wrote it all down. So I'll give you a ring later and let you know, where you're going to be moving to, if it's back to your original cabin, has the door been fixed, is it been dried out properly, etc., etc. So we go back down the next day because we've had no phone call, spoke to the same person. Oh, you didn't ring us? Yeah, I forgot. I forgot. So as we were having this conversation, the guest relations manager came out. So I collared her and said, I just wanted to speak to you about the questions that we asked yesterday. What questions? So I said, so none of that's been passed on? I don't know nothing about that. So it's like, oh, okay. So we go through these questions. Oh, you're going back to your original cabin. Has the door been fixed? Your cabin's fine. Has the door been fixed? Your cabin's fine.
It's like a robot.
So we're like a robot. So wouldn't say whether the door had been fixed or not. So as it was 2 days before the second cruise was going to start, we didn't want to move on the day of the second leg of the cruise.
Because we were in Perth and we didn't want to spend time moving when we could be exploring Perth.
So I said to her, so right, can we move back tomorrow then? Yeah. Just speak to your cabin steward. He'll move all your stuff. Come down here in the morning, get your keys. Okay, yeah, great. Go down in the morning, speak to the cabin steward. Yeah, we're going to be moving back to our original cabin. Yeah, no problem at all. Just give me a shout. I'll only be just round the corner. Blah, 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 blah. We'll get that sorted for you. Go down to reception, to guest services. Right, I've come to pick up my keys because I'm moving cabins. Well, I don't know nothing about that. I said, are you serious? No, I don't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. He said, go away and have some breakfast and come back in an hour. I said, no, mate, I'm not going anywhere because, like, we're at the point now
but I think people have got the gist of
but we're at the point now where we walk down the stairs, they look at us, and whereas they used to have a miserable look on our face, they look at us now and they just look away. It's just like, I hope it's going to happen. So I said, no, I'm not going for any breakfast. What you're going to do is you're going to give me my keys. So he picked the phone up, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, that seems to be in order. But once again, the immediate response from guest relations is to bum rush you.
But that wasn't on the sea day, Paul. You've missed a little bit out. We couldn't go on that day. We had to wait till we were in, and we moved the morning we were in Perth, so we missed a couple of hours on Rottnest Island because of that. So,
So
but
it
anyway,
wasn't on the, so
you can see our frustration. So we moved back to our cabin.
And you'll never guess what. As soon as we got into our cabin, I got down on my hands and knees at the door, and there's the rubber seal that seals the door shut, and it's all hanging off.
Yeah.
So flapping in the breeze, all hanging off. So basically, they've gone in and dried the carpet. They have given no attention whatsoever to fixing the door. So I know it's a 22, 23-year-old ship, but I don't expect to go on a cruise to get flooded out. And that's not even about the money. I don't care if the cruise is £500 or £5 million. It's not acceptable on any cruise ship, which is just down to poor maintenance. Now, bearing in mind, when we got off that cruise, the next person in that cabin, if they experience the same adverse weather as we did, they're going to be in exactly, and I excuse the pun, they're going to be in exactly the same boat. I know it's a ship.
Yeah.
So, absolutely appalling. And we spoke to the captain. He said, it was bad that weather, and I didn't even wake up.
He said, I slept through it.
That's not what you want to hear. And then we spoke to the hotel manager, because we thought, obviously, the guest relations manager is a waste of time. We spoke to the hotel manager, and we said, are you aware of the situation we're having with our cabin? And he said to us, yes, I know all about it. And then he turned around and walked off.
Yeah. So there we end up. I think because we could go
So
on.
the rant,
well,
so
to
the
be
rant is over, yeah.
what you need to do is watch our vlogs because there's lots more to about guest relations than this. So yeah.
But hopefully, what we want to do is make you, like with all our videos, and we get some people, oh yeah, you just moan about stuff. What we want to do is we want to make everybody fully informed.
Yeah.
You know, we've gone out and we've paid, like I said, £14,000 with the flights. We're talking £19,000 this cruise cost us.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money to go out and spend. But it doesn't matter how much money it was. What matters was, it doesn't matter, like I said, it doesn't matter if it was £500 or £50,000. You don't expect to be treated like that on any cruise. No. You don't expect the poor level of maintenance like that on any cruise.
Yeah.
It's perfectly unacceptable. But like Carole said, we'll be doing a full vlog series. We had some wonderful times. We had some sad times.
Yeah.
And our vlog series is going to give you a day-by-day basis.
Yeah, you'll see how it all unfolds and over the
course of the cruise.
And also, I want to go back to, I always like to finish a video on a positive note because this is no reflection of the other staff around the ship. Because they were absolutely brilliant. Fantastic. Azamara do some things brilliantly, but as you can see, there's some things that really, for us, really let it down.
Well, it wasn't just for us. So, Carole, I'm going to be Moany Paul again, then Carole will have to find something positive to say. We met a couple that was doing a 54-day cruise. Now, bearing in mind, our cruise is 25 days back-to-back, and we paid £14,000. They were doing 54 days, and they were in a suite with a butler.
Yeah.
And the lady, she wanted to write some postcards, but couldn't find a pen in her cabin. So, I just popped by guest relations. Went down to guest relations. I'm in suite so-and-so, so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. I can't seem to find a pen in there. Can I have a pen? Well, I haven't got a pen, have I? I got this pen, but this is my pen. I haven't got a pen I can give you.
Luckily, her butler was lovely, and he sorted it out. But every time
give her a pen.
Every time you went to guest relations, you felt like you were fighting. Yeah. You felt it was like going to see Voldemort. That they were sucking the life out of you. You mean a
Dementor?
Dementor.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think you get the gist that we were really unhappy with guest.
So back on a positive then before.
Yes, back on a positive. We hope you found this video actually useful because we've shown you what Azamara do brilliantly, what they do well, and things that we were really disappointed in, which is a shame. It's a shame. I feel quite sad in some ways that we didn't have the experience that we thought we could do, but we've come home with some fantastic memories. Overall, it was a brilliant experience. But you'll find out all of that when you watch our vlogs. And also, we're starting our lives again next Thursday. Thursdays, we tend to do them at 7 o'clock UK time. So come and join us because we'll be talking lots more about Azamara.